I'll wait to be confirmed and I'll have to be excused.
Thank you so much.
I'll stand by for a sec. Okay.
That's it.
Can someone at the jail confirm that we don't have anyone who needs the Spanish interpreter this morning?
We do not, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. The interpreter is excused. Good morning. Please state your name.
Travis Davis.
Mr. Davis, this is the time for your initial appearance. You are here this morning on a number of felony charges. It looks like about 11 different counts. Would you like me to read those charges, or do you waive a reading?
I'll waive reading. Am I supposed to have representation here?
Yes, I do think there should be an attorney. So we'll wait just a moment for them to catch up with you. Sometimes they're out of the frame and I just can't see them.
Counsel will be here shortly, Your Honor.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and say that you do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. I am appointing the public defender's office to represent you in this case. And in just a moment, you will have counsel seated next to you for the purposes of today's hearing.
Yeah.
And counsel, do you need another moment to get yourself set up, or are you ready?
Yes, Your Honor, we're ready to proceed. I'm sorry, what's your name? Travis Davis. Travis Davis. You know, Your Honor, I haven't seen the interim complaints come in from the Pima County Attorney's Office yet, so I really am not sure what I'm working with in terms of probable cause.
Counsel, let me go ahead and the ICs are in the
Sure.
cloud.
And let me add on this one that I don't think you will have an interim complaint. It looks like in this case, an interim complaint was filed in January. Charges were dropped on January 10th. And then this is a refile with, I'm assuming with an indictment, but I don't think I have that document.
Okay. Okay, I gotcha. Well, Well, Your Honor, that being the case, I'm ready to proceed with this initial appearance.
All right. So I did get your client's name, and I did advise him of the right to remain silent and to be represented by an attorney. So we are ready to move on to discussing the conditions of release. And to prepare for that discussion, I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services. I have also reviewed just the statement of the charges, what the charges are, and the state's recommendation that the defendant be held on a bond of $50,000, and if that bond is posted, that he be released to pretrial services. I'll also note that it appears that there is a probation hold so Mr. Davis would be detained without bond at this point in time, regardless of what I order today. Would the state like to be heard further?
No, Your Honor, the state agrees with the 50,000 in the paperwork.
Thank you. And does the defense have any arguments to make?
Your Honor, given the probation hold, I don't think there's really anything I can say at this moment that's going to get Mr. Davis out today.
Great. I do agree with the state's recommendation based on the information I have before me, so I am going to order the bond of $50,000, cash or secured. If you do happen to be released, sir, the additional orders are that you would be released to pretrial services. You cannot possess or consume alcohol or illegal drugs. You cannot possess any firearms or weapons. No contact with the alleged victim. Don't go to their residence, workplace, or school. And report to the Pima County Sheriff's Department within 2 working days following release from custody. No unsupervised contact with minors. Your next court date is going to be March 28th at 1:30 for a criminal arraignment. If you are still in the custody of the Pima County Jail, they will make you available for that hearing. If you are released, it'll be your responsibility to appear. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes.
Thank you. You're excused for today.
Mr. Poston, are the interim complaints for any of the cases today up on the OneDrive?
They are, but I can go ahead and send them to you right now.
If you don't mind, my email is samuel.hill@pima.gov.
That's Hill as in Hill?
Yes.
Excuse me.
At FEMA.gov?
Yes.
I hit approve.
Thank you,
It
Mr.
came up with that window. Okay.
Sent to you.
Thank you so much.
Please state your name.
Jeffrey Miller.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Miller, you are here for a review hearing on your Maricopa County warrant. It looks like you are being held in Pima County for some local offenses. And so we set this hearing to see if those had been resolved and you had been released to Maricopa County, or if you were still here. Since you are still here, I don't know if I deleted it, but I don't have the new date. Is it just 1 month from today? Okay. I am just going to set another review hearing to check up on the same thing, whether you are still here or if you have been released to Maricopa County. So April 21st is okay? Yes. So I will set that on April 21st at 9 a.m. Do you understand?
April 21st at 9.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. You're excused for today.
Thank you, ma'am.
Please state your name.
Armando Sotelo.
Mr. Sotelo, this is the time for your initial appearance on new felony charges of aggravated DUI. Criminal damage, unlawful flight from law enforcement, and criminal trespass. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. I am appointing the legal defender's office to represent you in this case, and you do have counsel seated next to you for the purposes of today's hearing. It looks like there's also a probation hold that does not have a bond. So no matter what I order today, you'll remain in custody on that case until that is resolved. We are going to talk about your conditions of release, and I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services. I have also reviewed the warrant containing the charges, and I have reviewed the state's recommendation that you be held on no bond.
Your Honor, this was, there's a question mark by the APO hold asking whether or not that is the case. It would appear that it is, because at the time I saw the probation issues, but I didn't actually see an APO hold. What I'm seeing here, Your Honor, is on this case, this looks like a, one moment. One moment. Based on all the circumstances, the state recommends a $25,000 bond.
Okay. So the state has changed its recommendation to a bond of $25,000.
Your Honor, given the fact that the defendant here is going to be having, he's going to have to be held on his probation hold, is there any way we can come down to a more nominal kind of bond that he can post, maybe within the $5,000 range?
And is there any other argument you'd like to make, or you just want to make that request?
It doesn't appear that the defendant is going to be a life risk in this matter. And it seems like, do you have a place to live in town?
Yeah, I have a store that I'm trying to maintain, and we just filed for papers. And she had a baby, and she lost the baby due to me not helping her move somebody where.
So the defendant has, family here in town, and he's kind of just mentioned to me that he's an entrepreneur and has a store in town that can keep him occupied. If he's able to clear up this probation hold and get out on that, so I think having this hurdle with this other case and this other bond imposed would have a negative effect on the defendant's life outside.
And then I do have a question. These allegations, it looks like, are from July of 2024. It looks like there's a case from last month that's also pending for Mr. Sotelo, in which he posted a $25,000 bond. Is that correct?
That's something I do not have insight into, Your Honor.
Is the defendant willing to answer that?
I didn't put, I'm not sure where. I would have to look at the dates again. But I have been on top of my probation, except for that last time at this time, and trying to keep up and attend all court dates. I believe I haven't missed a court date.
Oh, yeah. I'm just asking, were you arrested for something else that you posted a bond for, a $25,000 bond? Or that you were possibly being held on a $25,000 bond already? Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes, that does sound familiar, but the probation hold is why I'm being held now.
Okay. So I will order a bond of $10,000 cash and secured in this case. Sir, if you do post that and also resolve your probation hold and are released, the additional orders will be that you're released to pretrial services. You submit to monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services, no alcohol or illegal drugs, do not drive without a valid license, no firearms or weapons, no contact with the alleged victim. And your next court date will be March 28th at 1:30. If you remain, on this case, if you remain in custody, the jail will make you available for that court date. And if you have been released, then it will be your responsibility to appear. That's for your arraignment in this case. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. You understand?
Yes.
Thank you. You're excused for today.
Thank you. This just says next day. I'm sure those more came through with the next court date, but your preliminary hearing is.
You have the paper of the charges on this.
I don't have it. Like that's what I'm trying to put the ball myself. Trying to figure out what's going on with your case. Morning.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Tommy Mubarak. Good morning. How you doing, Your Honor?
Thank you. Mr. Mubarak, you're here for your initial appearance. It looks like you are here on a couple of different matters, including an assault charge out of Pima County Justice Court and new charges of theft and criminal trespass in the third degree. These are all misdemeanor charges.
Yes, ma'am.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choice. In certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed on your behalf. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. And so the information I've been provided with so far is the warrant and the citation or complaint for the new charges.
Yes, ma'am.
And information from pretrial services indicating that you have a history of failure to appear for court dates.
Well, ma'am, I didn't want to tell you this, but I wanted to be honest with you. I couldn't technically come to court that day because I was being released when Pima County Sheriffs picked me up that day. They R&R'd me, right? So the U.S. Marshals, they picked me up the next following day and put me in their custody and kept me in their custody to do the rest of my halfway house because I was at a federal halfway house where the incident happened.
So, Mr. Mubarak, are you indicating you've only missed one court date in Pima County?
Yeah, due to incarceration. I couldn't.
If I order that you're released on your promise to appear for your next court date, which is going to be 10 days from today, March 31st, okay, will you appear at that court date?
Yeah, I could be there. I just wasn't in this county at all. I wasn't even here.
You don't have to say anything else. All right,
All right.
so I am going to order that you're released on your promise to appear.
All right.
That court
I'll
date,
come.
that court date will be March 31st at 8:30 in the morning. That's at Pima County Justice Court before Judge Foreman. Additional orders are that you do not possess or consume alcohol or illegal drugs, and that you have no contact with the alleged victim in the assault, the criminal trespass, or the theft case. You understand?
Okay.
And if you fail to appear for court, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you have a question?
Show up for court on time. I don't want to be lost in another county. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're excused for today.
Thank you.
All right. 8:30. So 8:30. Sorry. So it's Justice Court is at 240 North Stone Avenue.
I can take the bus there.
Yeah, the bus does go right there.
Too. Bus does go right through there.
And it's at March 31st at 8:30 at this address. I know it's a little hard to get that there. 240 North Stone Avenue. Right.
What's your name?
My name's Sam. I'm not going to be your attorney, but
You want to be appointed to?
this is. No, sorry.
That's the office.
This is the office. Yeah, call that number, and then they can sort you out with who you should talk to.
I got a phone number if you guys want to contact me a day before or whatever.
I think you can set up text notifications with the court if you get a phone set up. I don't know necessarily how to do that, but I think that is an option.
I just wanted to notify the court, like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm reachable.
No, you definitely. I think you'll make it.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Renee Ariola, good morning, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Ariola, you are here on a misdemeanor charge out of Tucson City Court. This is your first appearance, and it is a charge of interfering with the judicial order, basically disobeying a judicial order. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choice. In certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed on your behalf. We're going to talk about your conditions of release today. And sir, if I were to order that you be released on your promise to appear for your future court dates and that you have no contact of any kind with Mariah Martinez, would you obey those orders and show up for your next court date?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Okay, so I am going to do that. I'm going to order that you're released on your promise to appear. Your next court date is going to be April 22nd at 1:30.
Okay.
That'll be before Judge Million.
Okay.
The additional orders are that you commit no acts of domestic violence, have no contact with the alleged victim, Mariah Martinez, and do not go to her residence, workplace, or anything like that. She actually indicated that she was willing to have contact with you when pretrial services contacted her, but I do see that there is an outstanding order of protection that says you cannot have any contact with her. It looks like that is what you were arrested on. So I'm ordering no contact with her, okay?
Okay, yes,
Okay.
understand.
All right. So you, I'm going to enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf today. You are presumed to be innocent. And then if you fail to appear for any future court dates, a warrant can issue for your arrest. The hearings can go forward in your absence. That includes trial. And if you're convicted at trial and fail to appear for sentencing for at least 90 days, you may lose your right to a direct appeal. So do you understand all the consequences of failing to appear for court?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, then we've also completed your arraignment today. If you don't have any questions, you are excused for today.
Okay, thank you so much, appreciate it.
Good morning, please state your name.
Good morning, Your Honor. It's Joaquin Manuel.
And maybe that's the problem. Okay. I was looking under your other last name for pretrial services information, so I didn't see it. I'm just going to take a quick look at that right now.
Yes, Your Honor. I have a couple middle names I think is sometimes comes up. So my full name is Joaquin Pascal along with Manuel.
I see. All right. So you're here for your initial appearance on charges of disorderly conduct, which are domestic violence charges. And then you also are here on a warrant from a previous case. Both of these are out of Tucson City Court. And in that previous case, it looks like you had already been sentenced. And
I was unaware I had a warrant, Your Honor.
okay. All right. So we are going to, you do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choice, and in certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed on your behalf. I am going to appoint the City of Tucson Public Defender to represent you in these cases. And we're going to talk about your conditions of release. I am going to order that you be held on a bond of $2,500, that's cash or secured, and that you have no contact of any kind with Laura Rodella, the alleged victim in this case. Do not go to her residence or workplace. Were you living there?
It's actually my residence that she lives in. I own the property.
So for the time being, I'm ordering that you're the one who can't go back, except if you are released and you need to collect some belongings, you can go back once with a law enforcement officer to collect some belongings. And that's not forever, but that is the order that I'm making today. And then in your warrant case where you were previously sentenced, that court, the judge has indicated that they would like me to impose the suspended jail sentence of 9 days from today. 9 days from yesterday, starting yesterday, which means that on that sentence you would be released on March 29th at 2043. And that is before your next court date in this new charge where you're being held on the $2,500 bond. So I am going to enter that order.
So if I post a bond, I can still get released, is what you're saying?
Starting March 29th at 2043, you can get released.
Okay.
Okay.
I get a quick question. So if it's my residence that I own and she stays with me, I mean, how would I find another residence? Because it's I own the property and she stays with me.
If you need help with resources, finding a place to stay, then there is a transition center outside the jail. When you are released from jail, you can visit that transition center. It's a trailer right outside the jail, and they can help you with those resources. And the reason is basically because she is alleged to be the victim of domestic violence, it's to give her some time to figure out what she's going to do. It's something you'll be able to deal with other ways in the future, and I am appointing the City of Tucson Public Defender, so you will be able to talk to them more about what your options are, okay?
Sounds good, thank you.
All right, so your next court date is going to be April 2nd. That's at 1:30 in the afternoon. That's before Judge Million for a video review if you remain in jail, and it will be a pretrial conference if you are released. So if you've posted your bond by April 2nd and you are released, then you'll still need to appear on that date. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. I'll enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf and advise you that you are presumed to be innocent. And if you fail to appear for future court hearings, not only can the warrant issue for your arrest, but the hearings can go forward in your absence, including trial. If you're convicted at trial and then fail to appear for sentencing for at least 90 days, you can lose your right to a direct appeal. So do you understand the consequences of failing to appear for court?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So we've completed your arraignment as well on the new charges. Do you have any questions?
No, I believe I understand it.
All right. thank you. You're excused for today.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Adrian Casada.
Mr. Quezada, this is the time for your initial appearance. You are here on charges of domestic violence, disorderly conduct. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choice. In certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed on your behalf. We're going to talk about your conditions of release today. The alleged victim, your cousin, Francisco, did indicate that he does not object to your release. He does not object to future contact with you, and he does not object to you returning to the home. Sir, if I order that you are released on your promise to appear at your next court date, will you appear at your next court date?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
So I am going to order that. The additional release conditions are just that you do not commit any acts of domestic violence or pick up any other charges in the meantime. And your next court date is going to be April 21st. That's at 9:30 in the morning. That's before Judge Mayhew at Tucson City Court. If you were to fail to appear for that court date, a warrant could issue for your arrest. The hearings could go forward in your absence. That includes your trial. And if you are convicted at trial and then fail to appear for sentencing for at least 90 days, you can lose your right to a direct appeal. Do you understand the consequences of failing to appear for court?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And so I will also advise you that you are presumed to be innocent, and I will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. So we have also completed your arraignment today. You are excused.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Hey.
Morning. Morning.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ubaldo de Jesus Jimenez.
You. Mr. Jimenez, you are here this morning on charges of criminal damage. That is a domestic violence offense. We're here for your initial appearance and arraignment. These are out of Tucson City Court. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choice. In certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed on your behalf. We're going to talk about your release conditions today. And if I were to order that you be released on your promise to appear at your future court date, and that you have no contact with Mario Guerrero, would you appear for court and abide by that condition?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so I am going to order that you are released on your promise to appear. Additional orders are that you commit no acts of domestic violence, have no contact of any kind with Mario Guerrero, do not go to his residence or workplace. Your next court date is going to be April 25th at 9:30 in the morning. That will be for a pretrial conference in front of Judge Cranshaw at Tucson City Court. I will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. You are presumed to be innocent. If you fail to appear for future court dates, a warrant can issue for your arrest. The hearings can go forward in your absence, including trial. And if you are convicted at trial and fail to appear for sentencing for at least 90 days, you can lose your right to a direct appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. You're excused for today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
please state your name.
Christian Machiachoki LaVenture. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Mr. Laventer?
Yes.
You are here this morning on your initial appearance for misdemeanor charges of disorderly conduct and assault, which are domestic violence charges. These are out of Pima County Justice Court. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to hire an attorney of your choice. In certain circumstances, an attorney may be appointed on your behalf. Okay. We're going to talk about your conditions of release, and I have a question for you, which is, I believe you were living with your mother, Sonia.
Yes.
Is your fiance also living there?
She lives there. She stays there every once in a while because we have kids. But she has her own place.
Oh, all right. So your mother indicated that she is fine with having further contact with you and that she is fine with you returning to the home. So I am going to allow that.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sorry.
If I order that you are released on your promise to appear for your future court date and that you have no contact at this time with Tisha Silvas, will you abide by that condition and appear for your next court date?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, because we were not able to speak with Tisha, so we don't know her position. And so I'm going to order no contact. And so that means no matter what she says, until a judge changes that order, you're not allowed to have any contact with her.
Yes, Your Honor.
So your next court date is going to be March 31st at 10:30 in the morning. That's before Judge Foreman. And the additional orders are that you do not consume alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, have no contact with the alleged victim, and don't go to her residence.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then if you fail to appear for your future court date, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You're excused for today.
Thank you very much. Does that mean like what's it called? Like, President Bilski? Good night. Brother Bilski? Yeah. Give me a place to stay if you get released. Like, where? An apartment. Okay. Yeah.
All right, good morning. Please state your name.
Andre Bilski.
Mr. Bilski, you're here for your initial appearance on a number of matters. Let me pull up. So it looks like we have new charges of shoplifting and organized retail theft that are felony charges. We have charges that are out of Marana and Oro Valley. A probation violation warrant out of Oro Valley, it looks like. Okay. And then we also have a number of cases out of Tucson City Court, which include charges of assault, possession of drug paraphernalia, criminal trespass, a couple of those, 3 charges of criminal trespass from different times, and a charge of reckless burning, all out of Tucson City Court, dating back to $2023. It looks like all right. You have the right to remain silent on all of these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney, and I am going to appoint the Public Defender's Office on the new felony charges. I am going to appoint the City of Tucson Public Defender on the City of Tucson charges. And I'm going to appoint Richard Glenn to represent you in the Oro Valley City Court charge. So we're going to talk about your conditions of release. You also have counsel seated next to you for today's purposes. In preparation for discussing your conditions of release, I have reviewed the interim complaint. I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services, which includes information about you, such as any prior felony convictions and any information that you shared with the pretrial services and their assessments of new criminal activity and likelihood of failure to appear for court. And I have also reviewed the state's recommendation that you be held on the felony charge on a bond of $15,000, and if you are able to post that bond, that you be released to pretrial services. Would the state like to be heard any further?
Your Honor, the state's looking for $15,000 in bonds be set on this one. What we have here is this person's record shows them as being an absolutely unrepentant and long-term thief, and therefore the state believes he's got no reason he's going to suddenly stop now, and therefore a bond is appropriate.
Thank you. And would the defense like to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. On this felony charge that is before us, just reading the interim complaint, well, it does seem that the target was victimized to the tune of $450. They were able to recover the bike. Yeah, the bike that was being stolen. So when I'm looking at, the risk to the community here, the underlying offense, it seems like Target was able to recover their stolen property, and the defendant here is already on a bunch of other bonds for all the other mentioned cases. So I don't see how adding $15,000 for this theft where the victim recovered their property really makes a whole lot of sense in this case. So I would ask for a nominal bond.
And the
Sorry, it's a scooter, not a bike.
Sorry, there does appear to be significant concern about failure to appear. There's a significant failure to appear history. Is there anything you want to provide about reasons to believe that Mr. Bilski would appear for court if released?
Mr. Bilstein did inform me that he does have an apartment here in town. I hadn't been able to verify that in this immediate time, but I guess I'm more just talking about if he's going to be held anyways on these other bond amounts, which he may or may not be able to post, but I just don't see how adding this other bond to that is going to effectuate anything, if that makes sense.
Sure. I know that you are only representing on the felony for today's purposes, but I believe some of those other bond amounts are going to be up to me today as well. All right.
Yes.
And if Mr. Bilski, if you're willing to answer, the information I see in here is that you have a general delivery address. Do you have somewhere to go?
I do,
And is that your own place or with a friend or relative?
with a friend.
Okay. All right, so on the felony charge, I am going to order a bond of $500. If you are able to post that bond as well as whatever else you end up being held on once we get through all of these and any charges that may not be before me today, you would be released to pretrial services. You would be ordered to submit to monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no contact with the alleged victim, do not return to the incident location. Your next court date in this case is going to be March 31st at 1:30 p.m. That is at Pima County Justice Court for a preliminary hearing. If you were to fail to appear for that hearing, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Then there is a shoplifting charge also out of Pima County Justice Court. On that case, I am going to order a bond of $100, no contact with the alleged victim, do not go to the incident location, no alcohol or illegal drugs. I'm going to appoint Samuel Washington to represent you in that case. And your next court date will be March 24th at 1 p.m. before Judge Garza at Pima County Justice Court. If you were released and failed to appear for that hearing, a warrant would issue for your arrest. And then in the Oro Valley case, I am going to also order a bond of $100, cash or secured, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no contact with the alleged victim, do not return to the incident location, and Richard Glenn is appointed to represent you in that case. Your next court date is March 26th at 10:30 a.m. That is for a case management conference. And then in the Tucson City Court cases, I'm going to order a bond of $500, cash or secured, no contact with the alleged victims of any of the trespass charges or the assault charge, do not return to the incident locations of those charges as well, no alcohol or illegal drugs. And I believe I already mentioned this, but I am appointing the City of Tucson Public Defender. Your next court date is going to be a video review if you remain in custody. That will be on March 28th at 1:45 p.m. before Judge Cranshaw. If you were to post bond and be released, then your next court date would be a pretrial conference on April 28th at 2:30 p.m., also in front of Judge Cranshaw at Tucson City Court. If you fail to appear for any of these dates, warrants can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes.
Thank you. You're excused.
For Bird.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Heather Burke.
Ms. Burke, you are here this morning for your initial appearance on charges of possession of a dangerous drug, possession of drug paraphernalia, and hindering prosecution. These are all felony charges. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney, and I am appointing the Legal Defender's Office to represent you. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. And I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services. I have reviewed the interim complaint describing the circumstances surrounding the charges. And I have reviewed the state's recommendation that you be held on a bond of $3,500. And if you are released, that you be released to pretrial services. Would the state like to be heard further?
Your Honor, the state submits on the written record.
For the United States citizens, well, to the United States citizens too. Oh, Your Honor, I would just add that this seems to be a first-time offense, and these are possession charges. I just don't see how a $3,000 bond. It's a low enough bond to me to indicate that Ms. Burke isn't seen as a threat to the community. It's just mainly that seemed like an imposition just so that she can't get released from jail. That amount to me tells me that she's not a threat to the community. For those reasons, I'd ask that she just be released to pretrial services.
Right. So I do know.
Your Honor, there is the.
Oh, go ahead.
Your Honor, I would note for the court's attention, we do see 12 plus grams of methamphetamine. It's not just the hindering prosecution. It's the police had reason to be there based on allegations to stolen vehicles, which I'm not addressing at this point. But during this investigation in plain view, there's quite a bit of meth, Your Honor, and that's not an insignificant amount.
Thank you.
I would further contend, Your Honor. I mean, just dealing with SmartPort and whatnot, 12 grams is we see that all the time for personal use. That doesn't tell me anything about distribution, and it certainly doesn't look like she's being charged with the distribution amount of drugs. So that's all I'd submit to the court.
Thank you. Ms. Burke, if you were not to continue living with your boyfriend, would you have somewhere else to go?
Yes. Well, he would actually use my house.
Okay.
Ms. Burke would also like to add that she does have full-time employment at this time. And as she said, that this is her house, that she can arrange to get her boyfriend to leave if she needs to.
All right. Ma'am, I am going, and if you were released today, would you appear for your next court date?
Yes.
So I'm going to release you to the third-party custody of pretrial services today. I am going to order that you submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. You may not possess any alcohol or illegal drugs or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. You may not possess any firearms or weapons. Your next court date is going to be April 10th at 1:30 p.m. at Pima County Justice Court. If you were to fail to appear for that hearing, a warrant would issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes.
Thank you. You're excused for today.
Bustamante?
Please state your name.
Manuel Bustamante.
Morning, Mr. Bustamante. You are here for your initial appearance on charges of unlawful use of a means of transportation. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. I am appointing the public defender's office to represent you. We are going to talk about your conditions of release, and I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services about you. I have also reviewed the interim complaint describing the circumstances of the allegations. And I have also reviewed the state's recommendation that you be held on a bond of $1,000, that if you post that bond, you be released to pretrial services. State, would you like to be heard further?
Your Honor.
And defense, would you like to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. I would just like to highlight, I don't see any history with this defendant here. I don't see any prior felonies per the pretrial services report. It looks like he is being charged with the F6 designation. So I would ask that he gets released to pretrial services, as it seems that his lack of priors and that the class of felony that he's being charged with.
Okay. Sir, if I were to order that you be released to pretrial services, would you submit to monitoring or treatment as directed and show up for your next court date?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I am going to order that you are released to pretrial services. You are required to submit to any monitoring or treatment that they direct. You may not possess or consume alcohol or illegal drugs. You may not possess any firearms or weapons. No contact with the alleged victim of the car theft, and do not return to the incident location, meaning wherever the car was stolen from. And your next court date is going to be April 10th at 1:30. That is for a preliminary hearing at Pima County Justice Court. If you were to fail to appear for that hearing, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. You're excused for today.
Thank you, sir.
Be helpful.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Bianca Dawoya.
And Ms. Dawahoya, this is the time for your initial appearance on charges of aggravated assault on a peace officer. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney in this case. I am appointing the public defender's office to represent you. And you do have counsel seated next to you for the purposes of today's hearing. We are going to talk about your conditions of release. I have reviewed the interim complaint, which describes the circumstances surrounding the charges. I have also reviewed information provided by pretrial services about you. And I have reviewed the state's recommendation. The state is recommending that you be held on a bond of $7,500, that if you post that bond, you would be released to pretrial services. Would the state like to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
And the defense?
Your Honor, the defendant here has no priors. And when we look at the statutes of how to determine someone's release, we look at...
Counsel, can I stop you for just a second?
Sure, Your Honor.
Because I believe that there is a prior conviction.
Oh, you're right. I do apologize, and I'd like to correct that. There are priors. It looks like... Okay. I guess I would just like to continue with my other argument of the threat of the defendant to the victim if she were to be released. I mean, this was a police officer. I don't imagine that Miyoko here is going to go and assault that police officer again, so I don't see there being much risk to that individual, despite what might have happened. It looks like there's some altercation that happened in regards to her children. I don't quite know the events of that, but
That's valid.
it seems like there's a lot more to this story than Miyoko wanted to go assault this officer, and I would ask for that she gets released to pretrial services.
I do have a question if the defendant is willing to answer it, and you may talk to her before an answer comes, which is it is alleged there was another person present, and is that person her child or someone under her legal guardianship?
Your Honor, the state would like to impress upon the court the fact that she is an NVCA, yes, as well as 4-3. This wasn't an isolated incident in her history.
Your Honor, the defendant just doesn't have too much of a memory of the events at this time.
And is there a bond that she believes she could post?
A nominal bond, Your Honor. Someone in the neighborhood of 1,000.
All right. Thank you all.
Good point.
All right, so I am going to order a bond of $2,500 that will be cash or secured. If you are to post that bond, you would be released to pretrial services. You would be ordered to submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. You may not possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. You may not possess any firearms or weapons. You can have no contact with the alleged victim. Your next court date is going to be March 31st. That's at 1:30 in the afternoon for a preliminary hearing. It's possible that court date could change, so you'll want to stay in good touch with your attorney. If you remain in custody, the jail will make you available for that hearing, and if you are released, it will be your responsibility to appear. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. You understand?
Yes.
Thank you. You're excused.
Rebecca.
Just read. Really put that out.
Are you paying charging the service number?
Looks like a I don't criminal offense.
So you know you're not muted. If you need a moment, I'll give you a moment. No, you don't need a moment, counsel?
One moment, Your Honor.
Right, and, okay.
Ready. All right, Your Honor, we're ready to proceed.
Thank you. Please state your name. Ms. Stella Roseby, this is the time for your initial appearance on charges of criminal damage to property. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to be represented by an attorney, as this is a felony charge, and so I am appointing the public defender to represent you. We're going to talk about your conditions of release, and in preparing for that conversation, I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services, and I have reviewed the interim complaint, which provides a little bit of information about the circumstances of the charges. I have also reviewed the state's recommendation that you be held on a bond of $1,000, and if you post that bond, that you be released to pretrial services. Would the state like to be heard further?
Your Honor, this looks like a DUI, walks like a DUI, and what we have here is the only felony is grim damage when she allegedly slammed into another vehicle. And it was 6 out of 6 on the HGN, 7 out of 8 in walk and turn, and 3 out of 4 on the OLS. She caused in excess of $300. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if there's going to be further damages there that raise this to the point of what's likely a misdo DUI turning into a felony DUI. That said, the need to impress upon the defendant her need to be at every court hearing is why the state recommends a $1,000 bond.
Thank you. And would the defense like to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. We would ask that the defendant be released to pretrial services. As noted in the pretrial service report, this is a first-time offense for the defendant here. It looks like there was a big mistake that was made. I know that the state kind of referenced this DUI. The defendant, it doesn't look like he's being charged with that right now, and I don't think that should be considered at this moment. So if it's criminal damage, a low class class 5, so it's a low class felony. And given the low bond, it doesn't seem like this state sees this defendant as a risk to the community. I think pretrial services is appropriate here.
Thank you. And ma'am, I'm sure your attorney will explain this to you, but the state does sometimes wait to bring DUI charges until they have a more complete picture, just so you know. If I were to order that you be released to pretrial services without posting a bond, would you appear at each and every one of your court dates? All right. So I am going to order that you be released to pretrial services. You're going to be required to submit to any monitoring or treatment that they direct you to submit to. It's also ordered that you do not drive without a valid license. So if this does impact your driver's license, you are not allowed to drive. That you possess or consume no alcohol and no illegal substances. That you possess no firearms or weapons. That you have no contact with the alleged victim of the criminal damage charge. And your next court date is going to be on April 10th at 1:30. That's for a preliminary hearing. That court date could change, so it's very important to stay in touch with your attorney at the public defender's office once they're assigned. If you fail to appear for court, it is likely that a warrant will issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yeah.
All right. You're excused. Thank you. Good morning. Please state your name.
Michael Delfenthal.
Mr. Delfenthal, this is your initial appearance on a warrant for charges of aggravated DUI. There's 2 different counts. Those are felony charges. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. And I don't know if I accidentally removed it, but it's not in here. Should it be on one of these other pieces of paper? Yeah. I am appointing the public defender's office to represent you in this case. You do have counsel seated next to you for the purposes of today's hearing. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. And I have reviewed information from pretrial services.
I know. I figure what's going on. See, this is a yeah, I feel that better. I don't want to say yeah, I don't be trying to do.
Sorry, I can't tell if the two of you are talking or if there's just background noise from the jail.
We're sort of murmuring, Judge, but we're okay to keep proceeding with the initial appearance.
So I have reviewed the information from pretrial services, which includes some information about criminal history. It includes information that you provided to pretrial services, and that this was originally charged approximately 2 years ago, and then that charge was dismissed, and this was refiled as an indictment from the grand jury, and at that time a warrant issued for your arrest. I have also reviewed the state's recommendation, which is that you be held on a bond of $2,500, which was the amount on the warrant, and that if you post that bond and are released, that you be released to pretrial services. Would the state like to be heard further?
No, Judge.
Thank you. And defense?
Your Honor, I would ask for release to pretrial just based off what the defendant has been telling me when I'm reading in the pretrial workup. It seems like genuinely he didn't know that these warrants were issued and he missed them, and hence the failure to appear. So it doesn't appear that he's dodging them. It's been more that he's been missing them. So we would ask for release to pretrial.
And it looks like this was directly issued as a warrant, not that there was a summons and a failure to appear. Is that everyone's understanding?
Oh, yes. Yes. Sorry, Your Honor. Yes.
And sir, you can speak with counsel before answering if you'd like. I do want to know, do you currently have a valid driver's license?
No.
Okay.
That's
And then, counsel, if I weren't going to release him without any bond, is there a bond amount he feels he could post?
Your Honor, given defendant's financial circumstances, there's no bond that he feels comfortable posting at this moment.
All right, so I am going to order a bond of $500. That'll be cash or secured. If you are released, you'll be released to pretrial services. You'll be ordered to submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. You may not possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. You may not drive without a valid driver's license. You may not possess any firearms. Your next court date is going to be March 28th at 1:30. That's for an arraignment. If you remain in custody, the jail will make you available for that hearing, but if you post your bond and are released, then you will be required to appear at that hearing on your own. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You're excused.
Jimenez.
Please state your name.
Shonda Jimenez.
And Ms. Jimenez, this is the time for your initial appearance on a felony charge of misconduct involving weapons and several misdemeanor charges, including criminal damage, disorderly conduct, and assault, which are all domestic violence offenses. Those are from December, and the new charge is just from yesterday. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. In the felony case, I am going to appoint counsel to represent you. Okay, thank you. That will be the legal defender's office. And then you do have counsel seated next to you for the purposes of today's hearing. So we're going to start by discussing your conditions of release in the new felony. And in preparing for that, I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services. I have also reviewed the interim complaint, and I have reviewed the state's recommendation that you be held on a bond of $10,000. And if you are able to post that bond and be released, that you be released to the custody of pretrial services. Would the state like to be heard further?
Your Honor, she has a history of violence. She admitted to the weapon post Miranda, and it was located. This is not her first DV situation. Mr. Jimenez wants no contact. She's violating an OP. She doesn't care about a piece of paper. It's going to take a bond to keep the community and the victim safe here. $10,000.
All right, defense?
Yes, Your Honor. In talking to Miss Jimenez, it seems like she was the one who called the police in this instance. Someone broke into her brother's car, and obviously she's being charged with prohibited possessor. But it doesn't seem like this was a violent situation where she was trying to antagonize anybody, but it seemed more defense of property. Further, she told me that she has children. She's got a special needs child that needs care. And her being in jail is going to obviously be an impediment to that. So I would ask release to pretrial services or a significant reduction for $10,000.
Your Honor?
Yes.
The OP she violated most likely had prohibitions on weapons. She has a history with this. She has a history of priors for endangerment and, excuse me, prior DUIs, misconduct involving weapons. She's pending in justice court. Your Honor, this is not a situation where somebody should be able to say, I have children, and then get out of what otherwise would have been a proper bond.
Thank you.
Well, even those, sorry.
And let me add that defense of property does not obviate a prohibition on weapons.
Thank you. The allegations are alleged to have taken place at your home, Ms. Jimenez. Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
Let me ask about I'm just asking, the incident is alleged to have taken place at your home?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So on the felony matter, I'm going to order a bond of $2,500 that will be cash or secured. If you are able to post that bond and be released, you will be released to pretrial services. You will be required to submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. You'll be ordered to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs. You may not possess any firearms or weapons, and I'm specifically ordering that if there are any firearms in your home, that they be relinquished to local law enforcement. So that's either the Tucson Police or the Pima County Sheriff's Office. That must happen immediately. No contact with the alleged victim. Do not go to their residence or workplace. And your next court date in this case will be March 31st at 1:30. That is at Pima County Justice Court for a preliminary hearing. It's possible that that court date will change, so you'll want to stay in good touch with your attorney from the Legal Defender's Office. And then we're going to turn to the City of Tucson domestic violence charges. And in these, on these charges, I am going to appoint the City of Tucson Public Defender to represent you. I am going to order that you be held on a bond of $200 that will be cash or secured, that you have no contact of any kind with Ubaldo Jimenez, that you do not go to his residence, do not return to the incident location for those charges. Commit no acts of domestic violence and possess or consume no alcohol, illegal drugs, possess no firearms or weapons, and again, surrender any weapons to the Tucson Police Department. Your next court date is going to be April 2nd. If you remain in custody, that will be for a video review, and the jail will make you available. If you post your bond and are released on these charges, your next court date will still be April 2nd, but it will be a pretrial conference. That will be in front of Judge Million. And if you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. You are presumed to be innocent on those charges. You have, I am going to enter a plea of not guilty on those charges on your behalf. If you fail to appear for those hearings, not only can a warrant issue, but the hearings can also go forward without you. That includes trial. If you're convicted at trial and fail to appear for sentencing for at least 90 days, you may lose your right to a direct appeal. Do you understand the consequences of failing to appear for court?
Yes, ma'am.
We've also completed your arraignment in the Tucson City Court charges. And you are excused for today.
These are the number for the attorney in your next court. There you go. Jones.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Javon Jones.
Mr. Jones, this is the time for your initial appearance on charges of criminal damage. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney, and I am appointing the public defender to represent you in this case. We're going to talk about your conditions of release, and in preparing for that, I have reviewed the interim complaint, which provides information about the circumstances surrounding the allegations. I've also reviewed information provided by pretrial services, which includes their assessments and information that you provided to them. And I've also reviewed the state's recommendation that you be held on a bond of $1,000, and then if you are able to post that bond and be released, that you be released to pretrial services. State, would you like to add anything?
No.
And defense?
Your Honor, I would ask that instead of bond, the defendant just be released to pretrial services. If this looks like an auto accident, defendant has he has a house here that has been verified by pretrial services. He has no prior felonies, as per the same report. I think release to pretrial services is appropriate given the circumstances.
I'm going to order a bond of $250 that will be cash or secured. If you are able to post that bond and be released, you'll be released to pretrial services. You'll be ordered to submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. Cannot possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. You may not drive unless you have a valid driver's license. You may not possess any firearms or weapons. And your next court date is going to be March 31st. At 1:30, that is for a preliminary hearing at Pima County Justice Court. It is possible that that court date may change, so you will want to keep in touch with your attorney so that you are aware of all of your court dates. If you remain in custody, the jail will make you available for court. If you are released, it'll be your responsibility to appear, and if you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. You understand?
Yes. Your Honor, could you just clarify? I'm sorry, I didn't hear. What was the bond set for?
Oh, $250, cash or secured.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay.
morning. Please state your name.
Diego Cunha Lopez.
Mr. Acuna Lopez, this is the time set for your initial appearance on a number of matters. We have new felony charges of possession, excuse me, possession of a narcotic drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. We also have a number of matters between 2022 and 2024 out of Tucson City Court that were in warrant status. We're going to, well, you have the right to remain silent on all of these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I think this one's my fault, but which attorney is he supposed to do? Yeah. Okay. I am appointing the public defender to represent you in the new felony charge, and we're going to discuss your conditions of release on all the charges. We're going to start with the new felony charge, and in that case, it also appears that you may be eligible for STEPS, which is a pre-indictment diversion program. If you were to be accepted into that program and successfully completed, it is possible that the state would not go forward on that charge. Are you interested in that program?
Sure.
Okay, so I will set your drug cases for a STEPS hearing on March 28th at 9 a.m. At that hearing, it will be determined whether you are eligible to participate in the program. You'll have a chance to speak with an attorney about the program and to meet with pretrial services and service providers.
I get one thing.
We're going to get to that.
Sure.
I'm also going to set this case for a preliminary hearing. But before I do that, I want to say that if this was the only case you had today, then I would probably be releasing you to pretrial services. However, because you have this history of failure to appear in the other cases for Tucson City Court, I believe I am going to hold you on the Tucson City Court cases. And since this is a felony charge, you'll only get credit for the time if I also hold you on this charge. So keeping that in mind, I have reviewed the state's recommendation that you be released to pretrial services, but given the other charges,
I promise I'll come to court.
if I hold you on the other charges, would you like a nominal bond on this one?
Sure.
Counsel?
Your Honor, I think that was much appropriate way to move forward.
Okay, so I'm going to order a $50 bond, cash or secured, on this case. If you are released, you'll be released to pretrial services. You'll be ordered to submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. Possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs. Possess no firearms or weapons. The preliminary hearing date will be March 31st at 1:30. It's possible that hearing will not go forward if you are accepted into the diversion program. So you'll want to stay in touch with the public defender's office about that. And then moving to the Tucson City Court cases, there is a long history here of not appearing for any of these charges since 2022. So I am going to order a bond of $500 on these cases. That will be cash or secured. The additional orders, if you should post that bond and be released, are that you do not have any contact with the alleged victims of the criminal trespass cases, that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, that you do not return to the incident locations of the criminal trespass cases, and the City of Tucson Public Defender is going to be appointed to represent you. You're going to be seen in court for a video review if you remain in custody on these charges on March 28th at 1:45. And if you were to post your bond and be released, Your court date for those charges would be April 21st at 9:30 in the morning for a pre-trial conference. Sir, if you post your bond and are released and then fail to appear for any of your court dates, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You're excused for today.
Please have your next court date. Thank you. Yeah. That's just a handbook. Thank you.
Please state your name.
Nathan Thomas Masterson.
Mr. Masterson, you are here this morning for your initial appearance on felony charges of possession of drug paraphernalia. You also have charges of theft of means of transportation. And then there is a failure to appear out of Pima County Justice Court for a misdemeanor shoplifting charge. You have the right to remain silent on all of these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. I'm appointing the public defender to represent you on the felony charges. I did note that one of the recommendations from pretrial services was that you be ordered to contact your assigned probation officer on the first working day following release. Sometimes that's a signal that a probation hold is going to appear. So I just wanted to check and see if there's any probation hold as of this time. Does anyone? Not at this time? Thank you. Okay.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, so we're going to talk about your conditions of release. We're going to start with the felony cases. And in those cases, I have reviewed the interim complaint, which describes some information about the circumstances around the charges. I have also reviewed information provided by pretrial services about you, including information that you provided to them. And I have reviewed the state's recommendation that you be held on a bond of $10,000, and if that bond is posted, that you be released to pretrial services. Let's see. Would the state like to be heard further?
Your Honor, he's 6 out of 5. We're looking at felony probation. The vehicle that he was vehicle was observed to have come back stolen. He was connected to it via fingerprint match, search incident to arrest, drug paraphernalia with residue, and he's got failures to appear in his history, looking at mandatory prison likely, as well as this probation violation. State believes he's a risk to flee as well as a risk to reoffend. $10,000.
Thank you. And would the defense like to be heard? If you need a minute, let me know.
Yes. Yeah, Your Honor, maybe we have a minute. Yeah. Your Honor, I would argue the age of the defendant, he's only 22. He's still somewhat reliant on his family. There's been some family circumstances that he's described that created the circumstances that made him miss his court dates. When I looked through his past criminal history, it appears that there's an ongoing struggle with drugs. The defendant has a place to stay. He could reside with his grandmother if released. I guess I don't see him as being necessarily a threat to the community in the sense of violence. I think for those reasons, he should be released to pretrial services without bond.
Thank you. I am going to order a $5,000 bond. If you are able to post that bond and be released, you'll be released to the custody of pretrial services. You'll be ordered to submit to monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. You may not possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. You may not possess any firearms or weapons. You may not have any contact with the alleged victim. Do not return to the incident location. Regarding the car. And contact your assigned probation officer on the first working day following release from custody. Your next court date is going to be March 31st. That is at 1:30 in the afternoon for a preliminary hearing. It's possible that that hearing date will change. You'll want to keep in good touch with your attorney from the public defender's office so that you are aware of all of your court dates. If you are in custody, the jail will make you available for court, and if you are released, it'll be your responsibility to appear. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You're excused.
Sorry,
Oh, and actually, I didn't set your court date for your misdemeanor. So, sorry about that. Your misdemeanor is going to be at Pima County Justice Court on March 24th at 1 p.m.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm going to be staying.
And I am ordering a $50 bond, cash or secured in that case. No alcohol or illegal drugs, no contact with the alleged victim of the shoplifting. Do not return to the incident location. And your attorney appointed in that case is Samuel Washington. His phone number will be on the paperwork you receive.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Oh.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Meadows.
Ms. Meadows, this is the time for your initial appearance. You are here this morning on 3 new felony charges of possession of a narcotic drug for sale, possession of a dangerous drug, and possession of drug paraphernalia. You also have a failure to appear on a misdemeanor charge out of Tucson City Court that was in warrant status, and that is for a charge of criminal trespass. You have the right to remain silent on all of these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney in the felony case. I am appointing the public defender's office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated next to you for the purpose of today's hearing. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. In all of these cases, we're going to start with the new felony charges. I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services. I have also reviewed the interim complaint, which contains some of the circumstances surrounding the allegations. I've also reviewed the state's recommendation, which is that you be held on a bond of $7,500, and if you are able to post that bond, that you be released to pretrial services. Would the state like to be heard further?
Your Honor, 5 out of 5, twice over. Such an incident to a traffic stop and a warrants check. 13 grams, almost 14 grams of fentanyl pills packaged for sale. Just shy of 1.5 grams of meth, paraphernalia, pills packaged for sale. All this is as well as cash in small denominations. All is indicative of sales. 7,500.
Thank you. And then if you need a moment, defense, you may take it, but otherwise I'm ready to hear from you.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm looking through this interim complaint. I'd like to make a probable cause challenge. It says that she had 13.825 grams of M30 pills, but it doesn't tell me how the police came to the conclusion that those were fentanyl pills or oxycodone pills. I don't see them having been tested. So I think there's a valid probable cause challenge there. With that being said, I'm seeing that Miss Meadows doesn't have any prior felonies for the PTS workup. I think the amounts, 1.5 grams of meth appears to be personal use. I do understand that there are paraphernalia that might suggest otherwise, but the amounts themselves do seem to indicate personal use. So for those reasons, I would ask that the court release Ms. Meadows to pretrial services.
Thank you. And I noticed that Ms. Meadows does have a general delivery address. It indicates that she has not had a home during her time here in Tucson. Does she have a place to go?
I haven't heard otherwise, Judge.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to order in the felony case a bond of $2,500 cash or secured, pretrial services if that bond is posted. No alcohol or illegal drugs, no monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services, no firearms or weapons. The public defender's office was appointed to represent you in that case. Your next court date is going to be March 31st. That's at 1:30. That is at Pima County Justice Court for a preliminary hearing. And if you remain in custody, the jail will make you available for the hearing. If you are released, it'll be your responsibility to appear. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Since that is a preliminary hearing, it is possible the court date will change, so you'll want to stay in good touch with the public defender's office so that you are aware of your court dates. And then on the Tucson City Court case, I'm going to order a bond of $50, also cash or secured. Possess or consume no alcohol or illegal substances. No contact of any kind with the alleged victim of that case. Do not return to the incident location. And I am appointing the City of Tucson public defender to represent you. If you remain in custody, your next hearing will be March 28th. That's at 1:45 p.m. for a video review. And if you post your bond and are released, your next court date will be April 22nd at 9:30 a.m. for a pretrial conference. On that case, a warrant may also issue for your arrest if you fail to appear. Do you understand?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. You're excused.
These are the next court dates. She has a word.
Yeah.
Your Honor, that was. I was just informed by the jail staff that Miss Meadows has an active warrant, and I was wondering if we could move to quash it.
What do you know? What case it's in? Is it a what? Where is it out of?
Yes, Your Honor, this is the jail. It's out of Tucson City.
Yeah. Have the case number?
Yes, case number.
Case number Charlie Mike 2301124.
All right. So could I just add that to that number up here, or can you handle that? All right. So I will order quashing the warrant in the 2030111234 case out of Tucson City Court, and order that in that case that case be heard on March 28th at 1:45 for a video review if Miss Meadows remains in custody, and if she is released, it will be heard on April 22nd at 9:30. Was that a new charge or a failure to appear?
It looks like a failure to appear, Your Honor.
Thank you. Now you're excused, Ms. Meadows.
Thank you.
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you, jail staff. Clerk, hang on.
Good morning. Please state your name.
Adam Ortega.
Mr. Ortewan, this is the time for your first appearance. It looks like you have new charges of aggravated DUI. And
That was never.
Effort.
and then also, it looks like let's see if it's in here.
I was told on the scene that it was a misdemeanor warrant, supposedly, the second charge.
Okay, so it looks like, and that might be related to probation violation?
No, I was told it was an old warrant for an old job I had. It's been ongoing, and I was never told about the warrant.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a retail thing or something for an old job.
Okay. Oh, I see. There's all right, if I got through all the paperwork, there is a misdemeanor DUI charge from January of 2023. So that's the other one. So you have DUI allegations from this month and then from January of 2023.
I'm on probation for that, right?
Hold on. So that's the code in here indicated a probation violation. So I'm guessing what has happened here, although I don't have full information in front of me, is that they are alleging that you have violated your probation in some way. Possibly just that you have not complied with some part of the sentence. There may have been a due date for fines or restitution that you missed or something like that. You were probably supposed to go to court for it and didn't. So let me stop you. Let me stop you and say that you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney in the new felony case. And it is ordered appointing the public defender's office to represent you. And we are going to talk about your conditions of release. I have reviewed the information provided in the interim complaint, which describes briefly the circumstances surrounding the allegations. I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services, which includes their assessment, any felony convictions that you may have, as well as information that you provided them. And I have also reviewed the state's recommendation, which is that you be held on a bond of $7,500, and that if you are able to post that bond and be released in the felony case, that you are released to the custody of pretrial services. So we're going to talk about conditions of release in the felony case first. Would the state like to be heard any further?
No, Your Honor.
And would the defense like to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. May I have a moment, please?
Absolutely.
Your Honor, I guess my client, he says that he's been, he's got a place to stay. He has a job right now. It looks like pretrial services put that in the report. When you look at the criminal history, it looks like a DUI, but they're kind of spread out to where you have one from 2019, one from 2023, and then one from 2024, and then our present case. So the defendant's been complying with his probation from what I'm seeing, other than this warrant that comes up, but we're not sure where that is coming from, quite frankly. So I would ask that the defendant be released to pretrial services. I don't think he's... Yeah, I would just request that he be released to pretrial services.
And just to give him the opportunity, if I am not inclined to release him to pretrial services without any kind of bond, is there a bond he believes he can post?
Otherwise, I can get.
Your Honor, a nominal bond in the neighborhood of $1,000 to $500.
Judge?
Yes.
Based on everything we've heard so far, it seems like he just gets annual DUIs. This is a pattern that is absolutely unacceptable to risk the community, and the state believes that a higher bond is appropriate, and we shouldn't be discounting it for him because he's getting annual DUIs and putting people at risk.
Anything else, Mr. Poston?
No.
I'm going to order a bond of $5,000 cash or secured. If you are able to post that bond, you'll be released to pretrial services. You'll be directed to, you'll be ordered to submit to any monitoring or treatment directed by pretrial services. Possess or consume no alcohol, no illegal drugs. Do not drive without a valid license. Do not possess any firearms or weapons. And contact your assigned probation officer on the first working day following your release from custody. Your next court date is going to be March 31st. That is at 1:30 in the afternoon. And if you are in custody, the jail will make you available for that hearing. If you have been released, you will be responsible to appear at that hearing. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes.
Thank you. You're excused for today.
Your Honor, can we clarify? Did you appoint the public defenders?
Sorry, and I think I also need to go deal with the misdemeanor case too. So you're not excused yet. So yes, the public defender is appointed. Yes.
Thank you.
And then we'll go to the misdemeanor case. And in that case, we'll also have the same conditions of release, except pretrial services will not be involved.
The misdemeanor for patients or devices. But that's necessarily true.
And I'm going to order a bond of $500 in that case. Your next court date for the misdemeanor will be March 24th. That's at 1 p.m. in front of Judge Garza at Pima County Justice Court. That'll be for a review hearing. And
Just a question, Your Honor. The misdemeanor charge, is it for the probation violation or for that warrant that the officer said I had?
it's the probation violation. And
Is there an active warrant? That's just my concern.
I believe the warrant has been served, so it is no longer active. That's why if it hadn't been served, you wouldn't be in front of me today on it. So I do have one question, which is, were you ever appointed counsel in that case? Was there an attorney appointed for you by the court in that misdemeanor DUI case?
Yes, for 2023.
Yeah.
Yes, I had a lawyer. That's how we got to the probation deal.
Give me just a moment. I'm going to find out if they are still available to be appointed. I think I've seen him on the list recently. So I'm going to appoint him. All right, so it was Peter Gutierrez, and I am going to appoint him to represent you in the probation violation. If it turns out he's not available, then the court will appoint a different attorney at your next hearing. And you understand that if you are released and fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest?
Yes, I understand.
All right. Now you're excused. Please state your name.
Robert Robinson.
Mr. Robinson, this is the time for your initial appearance. You're here this morning on felony charges of possession of narcotic drugs, possession of drug paraphernalia, and misconduct involving weapons. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney, and I am appointing the public defender's office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for the purposes of today's hearing. And today we are going to talk about your conditions of release in this case. I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services to prepare for that conversation. I have also reviewed the interim complaint, which provides some details around the circumstances of the charges. And I have reviewed the state's request or recommendation. Their recommendation is that you be held on a bond of $7,500, and that if you are able to post that bond, that you be released to pretrial services. Would the state like to be heard further?
Your Honor, the defendant is prohibited possessor. He was found trespassing on a premises when it was called in. He was dressed in all black, had a backpack he admitted wasn't his. Also had meth, cannabis, and the gun was also stolen. He also had a felony warrant from another incident, $7,500.
Thank you. And would the defense like to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant has informed me that he has housing available with his mother here in town. He's lived in town here for, I think the report said 37 years. The defendant has further told me that he has a job as a construction worker that he can pick up if released. For these reasons, it does not appear that the defendant is going to be a flight risk, and I would ask that he be released to pretrial services.
Thank you. Great, Mr. Robinson, I am going to order the $7,500 bond requested by the state. That can be cash or secured. If you are released, you'll be released to pretrial services. You'll be required to participate in any monitoring or treatment directed by pretrial services. You cannot possess or consume alcohol or illegal drugs. You cannot possess any firearms or weapons. If there happen to be any firearms in your possession, you must surrender them to local law enforcement immediately. You can have no contact with I'm going to refer to them as the alleged victim and alleged victim's residence. It doesn't look like there was any charge for that, but I'm referring to the person whose door was being knocked on. Don't have any contact with that person, and do not return to their residence or their place of work. Your next court date is going to be March 31st. That is at 1:30 in the afternoon. That is at Pima County Justice Court. It's for a preliminary hearing, so it's possible that that court date may change. You'll want to keep in touch with the Public Defender's Office to make sure you're aware of your court dates. And if you are still in custody, the jail will make you available for that hearing. If you are able to post your bond and be released, it will be your responsibility to appear for that hearing. If you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You're excused for today. Good morning. Please state your name.
Thomas.
Mr. Thomas, this is the time for your initial appearance. You are here this morning on charges of aggravated assault and resisting arrest. These are felony charges. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. And I am going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. You also have counsel seated next to you for the purposes of today's hearing. We're going to talk about your conditions of release. And while I was preparing for that, I did review the interim complaint, which contains some information surrounding the allegations. I reviewed information provided by pretrial services, which includes their assessment and recommendations. It includes any information that you provided to them. And it also contains information related to any felony criminal history you may have. Finally, I did review the recommendation from the state. The state is recommending that you be held on a bond of $15,000 and that if you are released, you be released to the custody of pretrial services. Would the state like to be heard further?
Yes, Your Honor. He's an MDCAS. He's a 6 and a 4. And after being caught shoplifting, allegedly, he resisted arrest. The police had to take him to the ground using force, and he still fought, kicking one of the deputies, trying to kick one of the deputies, apparently in the crotch, but only hitting him on his thigh. This person has demonstrated propensity for violence. 15,000.
Thank you. And defense.
Your Honor, I'm having trouble accessing the interim complaint, so I'm not necessarily sure what had happened, but I'll stipulate to what Poston had said. I guess the argument remains is that the victims in this case are police officers. I think it's very highly unlikely for the defendant here to go and re-victimize them if he were to be released. I'm seeing some priors out of Illinois in 2022. Oh, thank you. Okay, yeah. I guess I would just do you have a place? I would ask that he would be released to pretrial services or significant reduction from the state's recommendation of the bond down to something more affordable. It appears that Mr. Todd is unhoused, so I would ask for a nominal bond, maybe the neighborhood of $1,000.
All right, so I'm going to order a bond of $1,500 cash or secured. If released, he'll be released to pretrial services. He'll be required to submit to any monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. No alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons. Sir, if you do find a way to post bond and be released, there is a trailer outside of the jail. It's called the Transition Center, and they may be able to assist you with resources in terms of finding a place to live. Your next court date is going to be March 31st. That is going to be at 1:30 in the afternoon. That is at Pima County Justice Court for a preliminary hearing. It's possible that court date will change, so you'll want to stay in touch with your public defender so that you are aware of your court dates. If you remain in custody, the jail will make you available for the hearing. If you are released, then it will be your responsibility to appear for that hearing, and if you fail to appear, a warrant will likely issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes.
Thank you. You're excused, Mr. Thomas.
How to get in touch with Tracy and myself. Your next quick date. Talk to her about getting you released from the jail.
Please state your name.
George Sanchez, third.
Sorry, was that George Tracy?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Tracy. This is the time for your initial appearance. You were here on a number of matters. It's like there are charges out of the Pima County Superior Court that are felony charges for possession of dangerous drugs, possession of narcotic drugs, possession of drug paraphernalia from October, and then new charges of possession of dangerous drugs and possession of drug paraphernalia. And then we also have charges out of Tucson City Court that were in warrant status for criminal trespass and possession of drug paraphernalia. Although that drug paraphernalia charge is also new. But the criminal trespass were in warrant status. And then there's also a case out of Marana City Court, which appears to also be related to possession of drug paraphernalia, and drugs.
Right. Sorry, there's strong charges.
You have the right to remain silent on all of these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you, and that was a shoplifting charge in addition to that drug paraphernalia charge from Marana. You have the right to be represented by an attorney in the felony matter. And at this time, I am going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. You also have counsel seated next to you for the purposes of today's hearing. And on the felony matters, I have reviewed information from the interim complaint surrounding the circumstances of the charges. I have also reviewed information provided by pretrial services, which contains information that they've provided about you, including their assessment and information that you told them. I believe that on the new drug charges, you may be eligible for the STEPS pre-indictment diversion program. That is a program that offers treatment services, and if you were to be accepted into the program and successfully complete it, then it's possible that the state would not go forward with the new felony drug charges. Are you interested in that program?
Yes.
That's what we're trying to figure out.
So I am going to set your case for a STEPS hearing. At that hearing, they will determine if you are eligible for the program. You'll be able to have an attorney speak with you further about the program. You may also have the opportunity to speak with service providers and pretrial services. That hearing is going to be on March 28th at 9 a.m. And then we're going to talk about your conditions of release now. So in the felony charges, the state has recommended that on the new charges, you be held on a bond of $500. And if you are able to post that bond, that you be released to pretrial services. And in the older charges, that you be held on a bond of $3,000 and released to pretrial services if you are able to post your bond. Would the state like to be heard any further?
No, Judge.
And would the defense like to be heard?
Your Honor, I guess given that the defendant is STEPS eligible and these crimes largely from what I'm seeing seem to be a result of a bad drug habit, I would ask that he be released to pretrial services, or that $3,000 bond figure that was mentioned be significantly reduced down to $500.
Okay. All right, so there are several matters, and I do think that I am going to order that you be held on a bond in these matters. We're going to address them each one at a time. So in the new felony drug charges where you are eligible for diversion, I'm just going to order a $50 bond, cash or secured. If you post that bond, you'll be released to pretrial services. You'll be required to participate in monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. You cannot possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons. And then your preliminary hearing in that case will be scheduled for March 31st at 1:30. It's possible that that hearing will not go forward if you're being accepted into the STEPS program. And then, let's see, on the older felony charges, I am going to order a $500 bond, cash or secured, monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services if released, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons. Your next court date for that case is going to be an arraignment on March 28th at 1:30 in Pima County Superior Court. And then on the Marana case, I'm going to order. Is that hearing at noon? It says 1:12.
Yeah, but it's not. Right, so it's not. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I meant. Monday at noon. Sorry. In that case, I'm going to order a bond of $50, cash or secured, and no alcohol or illegal drugs. You'll be seen in that case on March 24th at 12 p.m. noon in Marana City Court. And then the last cases we have up are the Tucson City Court cases. Oh, yeah, thank you. In the Marana case, we're appointing Janet Altschuler to represent you. In the Tucson City Court cases, you'll be represented by the Tucson City Public Defender.
Yes.
That's that one for me here. And I have like a intro. Once ever say that person, everybody's expecting. You don't really never sure. Take a minute to recuperate.
And then in those cases, I'm going to order a $50 bond, cash or secured. In those cases, you're also ordered to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, not to have contact with any kind with the alleged victim of the criminal trespass, and not to return to that location. As I said, the City of Tucson Public Defender is going to be appointed to represent you. Your next court date in that case is going to be March 28th for a video review at 1:45 if you remain in custody. In this case, if you were to post your bonds and be released, your court date would be different. It would be April 22nd at 2:30 for a pretrial conference. And then I do have to do your arraignment on the new charge from Tucson City of possession of drug paraphernalia. And so I will let you know that you are presumed to be innocent. You have, I'm going to enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf in that case. And if you fail to appear for that case, not only can a warrant issue for your arrest, but the hearings can go forward in your absence, and that includes trial. If you're convicted at trial and then fail to appear for sentencing for at least 90 days, then you can lose your right to a direct appeal of that conviction. Do you understand? You are excused for today. Thank you. Great, I don't have anything else. Does anyone have anything?
No, Judge.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you all.